The stars looked different from the bridge of the UEC horizon. Captain Hyantei had been staring at them for 3 hours straight, watching the sensors display something that shouldn't be there. Unknown ships. Dozens of them. Moving through space near Pluto like they owned it. "Captain, they're not responding to any of our hails," said Yuna, the ship's chief scientist. She pushed her dark hair behind her ear and frowned at her screen. "I've tried everything. 200 different languages, mathematical sequences, even music. Nothing." Hyantei nodded slowly. This was humanity's first real contact with aliens, and it wasn't going how anyone had hoped. Earth had been reaching for the stars for almost a century now. They had colonies on Mars, on Europa, on Titan, peaceful places where families lived and worked. And now these ships were here, silent and threatening. "Keep trying," he said. "Maybe they just need time to understand us." The communication officer looked up suddenly. "Sir, we're getting something." "It's not a message. It's weapons fire." The screen showed it clearly. One of the alien ships had fired on the mining station near Pluto, the automated facility where robots collected ice and minerals. Nobody lived there, but it was still human property. The station exploded in a bright flash, then went dark. 47 mining drones, gone in seconds. Hyantei felt his jaw tighten. Battle stations. But weapons stay cold. "I want shields up and evasive maneuvers ready, but we do not fire first." "Sir?" The tactical officer Hana looked confused. "They just attacked us." "They attacked an empty station?" "No casualties." "Maybe it's a warning or a test or a mistake." "We don't start a war because of robots." Hyantei's voice was calm, but his hands gripped the armrests. "Send everything we recorded to Earth Command. Let them know we have first contact, and it's not friendly." Back on Earth, Admiral Jin Park received the message in his office at Strategic Defense Command. He was an old man, gray-haired and tired, but his eyes were still sharp. He read the report twice, then pulled up files that most people didn't know existed. Files marked with red warnings and classified stamps. "Not yet," he whispered to himself. "We're not there yet." He called an emergency meeting with the United Earth Coalition. Politicians, military leaders, scientists. They all gathered in Geneva arguing about what to do. Some wanted to send the fleet. Others wanted to hide. Most wanted to try talking first. Ambassador Sora Lee stood up. She was small but fierce, with a voice that made people listen. "We built this civilization on the idea that we don't shoot first. We almost destroyed ourselves once because everyone shot first. We can't forget that now." "But they attacked us," someone shouted. "They destroyed an empty building," Sora replied. "When they kill humans, then we respond with force. Until then, we talk. We show them who we are. We show them we're better than our history." The vote was close, but the decision was made. Earth would respond with peace. They would send ships to defensive positions, but they would keep transmitting offers of friendship. They would not fire unless fired upon, and even then only to defend. 3 days later, another message came from the aliens. This time it was in broken English, clearly translated by computers studying Earth's broadcasts. "Humans of Earth, we are Vecran Empire. You are weak species in our territory. You surrender now. Give us your resources. Serve us. Or we destroy you." Yuna read the message out loud on the Horizon's bridge, and everyone went quiet. Finally, Hana spoke up. "That's not a negotiation. That's a threat." "It's also information," Yuna said, already typing on her computer. "They learned our language in 3 days. That means they're smart. And they're calling us weak, which means they think we can't fight back. They're testing us." Hyantei looked at his crew. Young faces, most of them. People who had never seen war. Earth had been at peace for over a century. Sure, there were arguments and problems, but no real fighting. Not like the old days that everyone learned about in history class. The days when humans killed each other by the millions. "Send a response," Hyantei said. "Tell them we want peace. Tell them we're willing to share space. Tell them we don't want to fight, but we will defend ourselves if we must. The response from the veteran came quickly. You defend? You cannot defend. You are farmers and dreamers. We are warriors. You have 1 week. Surrender or die. On Earth, Jin Park sat in his office late at night, looking at old photographs. Pictures of cities that didn't exist anymore, places that had been destroyed in the resource wars, back when humanity fought itself. He had been a young soldier then, had seen what human weapons could do. It had been horrible. So horrible that every nation on Earth had agreed to stop. To put away the worst weapons and never use them again. They had kept those weapons, though. Hidden them away in secret places. Automated systems that could wake up if needed. Jin Park had hoped his whole life that they would never be needed. He picked up his phone and called the civilian government. We need to prepare contingencies. Just in case. You mean the old weapons? The voice on the other end sounded scared. I mean, we need to be ready. We hope for peace, but we prepare for war. That's what smart people do. Back on the horizon, Yuna was studying everything they knew about the Vecran, their ship designs, their language patterns, their tactics. She stayed up for 2 days straight, drinking coffee and making notes. They're not the strongest species out there, she told Hyuntae. I've been scanning their technology. It's good, but not amazing. They're maybe middle level on the galactic scale, which means there are stronger species who haven't attacked us. So why are these guys so confident? Maybe they think we're even weaker than they are, Hyuntae said. Or maybe they don't know our history. They don't know what we did to ourselves. They see us building peaceful colonies and think that's all we can do. Yuna looked worried. Captain, we need to make them understand. We're peaceful by choice, not by necessity. The week passed slowly. The Vecran moved more ships into the solar system. Earth moved its defense fleet into position, but kept weapons powered down. More messages went back and forth, but nothing changed. The Vecra wanted surrender. Earth wanted peace. On the last day of the deadline, Sora sent one final message. Her face appeared on screens across the Vecran fleet. We are human beings. We have been to the edge of extinction and back. We have seen the worst that sentient beings can do to each other. We chose to be better. We ask you now, as equals, to talk with us. To find a way forward that doesn't end in death. Please, choose wisdom over violence. The Vecran commander laughed. The sound came through clearly on the transmission. Humans beg like children. We come for your colonies now. Watch as we take what is ours. On Earth, Jin Park received the alert. Vecran ships were moving toward Mars. He looked at the authorization codes on his desk. The ones that would wake up the old systems? Not yet, he thought. Not yet. He sent a message to all defense forces. Prepare for combat. Rules of engagement. Disable. Don't destroy. Protect civilians. Show them we can fight, but show them we have mercy. Make them reconsider. In space, Hyuntae watched the Vecran ships approach Mars. He thought about the families there. The children who had never seen war. All hands, battle stations, he said quietly. May we find peace on the other side of this? The first real battle between humans and aliens was about to begin, and neither side truly understood what they were starting. 3 weeks had passed since the Vecran Empire first fired on human territory. 3 weeks of skirmishes, attacks, and desperate defense. The Mars colony had suffered the worst. A Vecran missile had pierced the agricultural dome, exposing it to the thin Martian atmosphere. 12 people died before emergency systems could seal the breach. 12 farmers who had never hurt anyone. Hyuntae stood on the bridge of the horizon, looking at the casualty reports. His ship had been in constant combat, jumping from one defensive position to another. They had fought well. His crew had disabled 6 Vecran vessels without destroying any of them. Each time they had rescued the Vecran crews and given them medical attention. Captain, we're receiving distress calls from Europa Station, Hannah reported. Her voice was strained. She had been at her post for 18 hours. They're under attack. Life support is damaged. Set course? Maximum speed. Hyante felt the exhaustion in his bones, but he couldn't rest. None of them could. The Horizon arrived at Europa 30 minutes later. 2 Vecran fighters were circling the station, firing at the communications array. Hyante didn't hesitate. Hannah, disable their weapon systems. Precision strikes only. The Horizon's guns were old technology by galactic standards, but they were accurate. 2 quick shots and both Vecran fighters went dead in space. Not destroyed, just powerless. The Horizon moved in and began rescue operations. 8 people had died on Europa Station, suffocated when the life support failed. 8 more humans who had never held a weapon. As the medical teams brought the Vecran pilots aboard, one of them spat at Una. She was checking his injuries, making sure he was stable. The alien looked at her with contempt. "You heal your enemies," he hissed in broken English. "You are not warriors. You are farmers waiting for slaughter." Una finished bandaging his arm and looked him in the eye. "We are farmers. We're also the descendants of people who turned entire cities into glass, who split atoms for weapons before we learned to use them for power. We chose to be farmers. Don't mistake that choice for inability." The Vecran pilot looked confused. But Una was already moving to the next patient, on Earth. Ambassador Sora Lee was in her 100th negotiation session with Vecran representatives. The meetings were held via video link, with the aliens appearing on screens in the UN building. They were reptilian creatures, tall and covered in scales that shifted color. Their eyes were cold and calculating. "Why do you continue this pointless resistance?" the Vecran negotiator asked. "You cannot win. You disable our ships, but you don't destroy them. You rescue our people. This is weakness." "This is civilization," Sora replied. "We don't kill those who can't defend themselves. We thought you would understand honor. Honor is for equals. You are prey. We are predators. This is natural law." Sora felt her patience wearing thin. Natural law also says that prey can become predator when cornered. "Please, before that happens, let's find peace." The Vecran negotiator made a sound like laughter. "There is no peace between strong and weak. Only submission or death." The transmission ended. Sora put her head in her hands. She had been a diplomat for 20 years, had resolved conflicts on 3 continents, but this was different. The Vecran didn't want compromise. They wanted conquest. Admiral Jin Park entered her office. "We've lost 20 people now. Civilian casualties are rising. The defense fleet is exhausted. How much longer can we do this?" "As long as we have to," Sora said, though she didn't sound convinced. "The moment we escalate, the moment we use our real weapons, we become what we fought so hard not to be. And if we don't escalate, we might all die." They sat in silence, 2 tired people carrying the weight of humanity's survival. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other species were watching. The Halun Collective, a peaceful race of telepaths, sent messages of support to Earth. "Your restraint is admirable," their message said. "We hope you survive to teach the galaxy your ways." The Dravix Confederation, a neutral trading empire, was less kind. Their broadcasts to member worlds were blunt. "The humans will fall within a month. The Vecran are too strong, and the humans too soft. Prepare for new trade routes under Vecran control." But there was one race that said nothing. The Orion, an ancient civilization that had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. They simply watched and recorded everything. Back on the horizon, Hana finally spoke what everyone was thinking. She had come to Hyante's ready room where he was reviewing tactical reports. "Sir, with respect, we could end this in a day." She looked angry, frustrated, tired. "I've seen the classified files. I know what Earth has in storage. Railguns that could crack a planet. Weapons from the resource wars. Why are we holding back? Why are we letting them kill us?" Hyante put down his tablet. "Have you ever seen what a nuclear weapon does to a city, Hana?" "Only in history files." "I have. I'm old enough that my grandfather survived one. He told me stories before he died. About the light that burned brighter than the sun. About the shadows of people burned into walls. About the children who survived but wished they hadn't." Hyante's voice was quiet. We hold back because once we stop holding back, we can't go back to being human. But they're killing us. And we're killing them. Just slower. We've disabled 50 of their ships. We've captured hundreds of their soldiers. Each one we capture, we show them that we're not animals. Maybe one of them will go home and tell their leaders that humans are worth talking to. And if they don't? Hyante didn't answer. The situation got worse. The Vecran Empire, emboldened by what they saw as human weakness, sent more ships. They attacked mining operations in the asteroid belt. They harassed cargo vessels. They sent raiding parties toward the outer colony's dot, and each time, human forces responded. They fought back, but never to kill unless absolutely necessary. They disabled ships. They rescued survivors. They tried to show mercy. Una was documenting everything. As the ship's chief scientist, she recorded every battle, every interaction, every piece of Vecran technology they encountered. She sent regular reports back to Earth analyzing the situation. They're a mid-level military power, she wrote in one report. Their technology is about 50 years behind ours in some areas, more advanced in others. But they have numbers. And they have allies. I've detected signals suggesting they're in contact with a larger empire. We might be fighting a scouting force, not their main military. That report reached Jin Park's desk at 3 a.m. He read it twice, then made a decision. He picked up the phone and called the president. We need to prepare yellow alert protocols. That's one step below full mobilization, the president said. Are you sure? I'm sure that we need to be ready. This might get much worse before it gets better. 6 weeks after first contact, long-range sensors detected something that made everyone's blood run cold. A massive fleet was approaching from deep space. Not dozens of ships this time, hundreds, maybe thousands. And they were heading straight for Earth. The Vecran commander sent a message, and this time he sounded triumphant. Humans, we have called our masters. The Korthan Dominion comes. They will show you what real power looks like. Your time for surrender has ended. Now comes only destruction. On the horizon, Hyante received new orders from Earth Command. His hands shook slightly as he read them. After 6 weeks of fighting with restraint, with mercy, with hope for peace, the orders were changing. All commanders are authorized to proceed to yellow alert protocols. Begin waking up the old systems. Prepare for full-scale defensive operations. Rules of engagement remain. Disable when possible. But protect Earth at all costs. Hannah read the orders over his shoulder. The old systems? You mean... Yes, we're going to show them what human weapons really look like. Hyante's voice was sad. Get some rest. In 72 hours, the Vecran fleet will be here. And we're going to teach them a lesson about mistaking kindness for weakness. Across Earth's defense network, ancient weapons platforms began to wake up. Systems that hadn't been active in over a century hummed to life. In the asteroid belt, what looked like simple mining stations opened up to reveal missile batteries. On the moon, dust shifted as hidden facilities powered on dot and deep in Earth's oceans. In trenches so dark that no light reached them, massive installations began to charge their weapons for the first time since the resource wars. Una stood at her station, monitoring everything. She sent one last message to the galactic community, broadcasting on all frequencies. To all species watching, Earth has tried peace. We have shown restraint. We have offered mercy to those who attack us. But we will not allow our people to be slaughtered. What comes next is not our choice. It is yours. Stop attacking or we stop acting polite. The Vecran commander heard the message and laughed. The Vecran main battle fleet was 48 hours from Earth. On every human world, evacuation drills began. Not full evacuations, just preparations. Children on Mars practiced going to the underground shelters. Families on Titan reviewed their emergency procedures. On Earth itself, people moved calmly but quickly to designated safe zones in cities around the world. Nobody panicked. Humanity had learned from its past. They knew how to face danger without losing themselves to fear. Admiral Jin Park stood in the command center in Geneva, looking at a wall of screens showing the approaching fleet. 200 Vecran warships moving in formation, each one bigger than anything humans had built, each one carrying enough weapons to level a city. Status report, he said quietly. All defense platforms are online, a young officer replied. The Horizon and her sister ships are in position around Earth. Orbital defense grid is active. And the old systems are ready, sir, the old systems. Jin Park had hoped never to use that phrase. Those were the weapons humanity had built when they were still fighting each other. Weapons designed to destroy entire armies, entire cities, entire countries. Weapons so terrible that their use had finally shocked humanity into peace. They had been locked away for 150 years. Maintained by automated systems kept ready just in case. And now the case had come. Get me the ambassador, Jin Park said. So Lee appeared on screen from the UN building. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Admiral. It's time for the formal warning. Everything is ready on our end. I know. I've prepared my speech. Jin, do you think they'll listen? Honestly, no, but we have to try. We have to show the galaxy that we tried everything before He couldn't finish the sentence. Before we became monsters again, Sora said softly. I understand. Give me 10 minutes to get to the chamber. The UN General Assembly was full. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat in their seats. Above them, screens showed representatives from the Mars colony, from Europa, from Titan. All of humanity gathered together. Sora Lee walked to the podium. She wore simple clothes, not her usual formal attire. She wanted to look human, not political. To the Vecran Empire and all who watched these events, she began, her voice steady. This is Earth's final warning. For 6 weeks, we have absorbed your attacks. We have restrained our response. We have offered peace, negotiations, and medical aid to your wounded. You have mistaken our restraint for weakness. She paused, letting her words sink in. We are the descendants of a species that survived ice ages, plagues, and our own attempts at self-destruction. We reached for the stars not because we were fleeing enemies, but because we finally learned to direct our potential toward creation rather than destruction. On the Vecran flagship, the War Chancellor watched the broadcast with amusement. These humans and their words. Always talking, never fighting properly. Sora continued. The weapons we built during our darkest centuries have been mothballed, decommissioned, hidden away. We swore never to use them again, but you leave us no choice. This is not a threat. It is a fact. Stop attacking or we stop acting polite. She leaned forward, her eyes intense. You have 48 hours to withdraw beyond the orbit of Neptune. After that, we will defend ourselves with the full capacity we possess. We beg you, choose wisely. We do not want to show the galaxy what humanity looks like when we stop being civilized. The broadcast ended. Around the world, humans watched in silence. They all knew what this meant. They all knew what was coming. The Vecran War Chancellor's response came within an hour. His face filled screens across human space. His scales flushed dark with anger or amusement, humans couldn't tell which. Empty threats from primitives who cannot even destroy one of our patrol ships, he said mockingly. You speak of ancient weapons, we have seen your battles. You fight to disable, not destroy. You rescue our soldiers, you are weak. We will reach your planet and you will kneel or you will die. There is no third option? He cut the transmission and his fleet accelerated, no longer 48 hours away. Now 30-6. On Earth, Jin Park authorized the next level of response. All units move to red alert protocols. Activate all systems. Everything. What had been hidden for a century and a half now revealed itself. In the asteroid belt, rocks that had seemed natural split open. Inside were weapons platforms, each one capable of firing projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. In orbit around Earth, satellites that everyone thought were for communications began to unfold. They were railgun platforms, each one able to punch through the armor of any known warship on the moon's dark side. Where no one from Earth could see, massive doors opened in the regolith. Beneath them were cannons so large they could only be used in low gravity, weapons that fired solid metal slugs with the force of tactical nuclear strikes. But without the radiation, and in Earth's oceans, in trenches deeper than mountains were, tall facilities that had been dark for generations came alive. These were the facilities that scared even the people who built them. The places where humanity had created weapons that could end civilizations. Commander Wu Xin had been retired for 5 years. He had been a special forces operator during the last of the old conflicts, before the final peace. He knew how to use the weapons everyone else wanted to forget. Now he stood on the bridge of a ship that officially didn't exist, looking at a crew of other retired soldiers who had answered the call. "We don't exist," he told them. "This ship doesn't exist. What we're about to do doesn't exist. But if we have to do it, we do it right. We show them what human warfare looks like, and we pray they surrender before we have to show them everything." His crew nodded. They were all old enough to remember, old enough to know what they were capable of. Hyun-tae received a message on the horizon. It was from Jin Park personally. "Hyun, I'm sending you tactical codes. If we go to full engagement, you'll have access to weapon systems that aren't in any manual. Use your judgment. Protect Earth, but try to remember who we are." "Understood, sir," Hyun-tae replied. Then, more quietly, "I hope it doesn't come to that." "So do I." Across the galaxy, other species watched with growing interest. The Halun Collective sent one last message to Earth: "We are evacuating our embassy. Not because we don't believe in you, but because we don't want our people caught in what might happen. We will pray for you." The Dravix Confederation moved their observation ships farther away. They were traders, not fighters, and they knew when a situation was about to explode. But then a new message arrived. It came from the Orion, the ancient race that never interfered in younger species' affairs. Their message was short: "We remember when humans fought themselves. We hope never to see that fury directed outward. We will pray for the Vecran. They do not know what comes." Yuna read that message 3 times. "Captain, the Orion have been watching us? Since when?" "Since we first split the atom, probably," Hyun-tae replied. "They watch all species. They see everything and say nothing. Until now. Why now? Because they're scared, not for us. For the Vecran." 24 hours before the fleet arrived, Earth broadcast one more message. Not a warning this time. Just information. Sora Lee appeared on screen again, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood military historians, scientists, and weapons experts. To the Vecran Empire and to the galaxy. What follows is a documentation of human military history. We share this not to threaten but to inform. You deserve to know what you're facing. The broadcast showed footage. Old footage from humanity's wars, the trenches of the First World War, the nuclear strikes of the Second, the biological weapons of the resource wars, cities burning, armies clashing, millions dying. Then it showed the weapons themselves. The bombs that could flatten cities. The diseases that could wipe out continents. The machines that could fight without conscience or mercy. And finally, the weapons that had scared humanity so much they had stopped fighting each other entirely. "This is what we did to ourselves," Sora said quietly. "This is what we're capable of. We put these things away because we finally understood that survival requires more than the ability to destroy. Now you force us to remember. Please, turn back. Don't make us show you what we showed ourselves." The Vecran War Chancellor watched the broadcast. For the first time, his amusement faded slightly. But his pride was stronger than his caution. "Computer-generated images," he told his officers. "Propaganda. If they had such weapons, they would have used them. Maintain course." The fleet continued toward Earth. On the horizon, Hana came to Hyun-tae with a question. "Sir, if we use everything we have, how long would the battle last?" Hyun-tae looked at his tactical computer. He ran simulations, checked the numbers. "Against this fleet? With full authorization to use all systems? About 45 minutes. That fast? We've spent a century improving the weapons that almost killed us all, making them more accurate, more efficient, more deadly. The only thing that's kept us alive as a species is that we agreed never to use them on each other again." He looked tired. "Tomorrow, we find out if we can use them on others and still call ourselves human." In cities across Earth, children went to bed in shelters. Parents tucked them in and told them stories. Teachers read to their students. Everyone tried to act normal, even though tomorrow might change everything. The emergency session in Geneva was chaos. Representatives from every nation shouting at once. The Mars governor demanding immediate evacuation. The Europa delegates saying they should surrender. The Titan representative insisting they fight to the last. Ambassador Sora Lee stood at the podium, waiting. She didn't shout. She just waited until everyone exhausted themselves and fell silent. "We have 45 minutes, she said quietly. 45 minutes to make a choice that will define humanity forever. So let's be clear about our options." She pulled up images on the main screen, the Corthan fleet massive and growing closer. Option 1. We surrender. We become slaves to the Corthan Dominion. Our children grow up in chains. Our technology, our culture, our freedom, all gone? But we live, nobody spoke. Option 2. We fight with what we've already used. The weapons we deployed against the Vecran. We lose. The tactical computers give us a 3% chance of survival. Most of us die. The rest become slaves anyway. Still silence. Option 3. We use everything we have. The weapons we sealed away. The ones we swore never to use because they scared us so badly we stopped fighting each other entirely. She paused. We might win. Or we might destroy ourselves trying. But we stay free. An old man in the back stood up. He was a historian, someone who studied the resource wars. "Ambassador, if we use those weapons, are we still human? Or do we become the monsters we fought so hard to stop being?" Sora Lee looked at him with sad eyes. "I don't know. But I'd rather be a monster who chose his own fate than a slave who forgot what choice means." The vote was called. It was close. So close that every vote mattered. In the end, the decision passed by just 7 votes. Earth would use everything. Jin Park received the authorization. His hands shook as he entered the codes. These weren't just weapons. These were nightmares made real. All units, this is Defense Command. Authorization code Omega Omega 99. Unsealed protocol revelation. May God forgive us. On the horizon, Hyuntae received new orders. Orders that made his blood run cold. He read them twice, then called his senior staff. "We're going to do something insane," he told them. "We're going to transmit all our military data to the Corthan. Every weapon we have, every tactic, everything." Hannah looked shocked. "Sir, that's suicide, if they know what we can do." "That's the point. We're going to show them exactly what we can do. And then we're going to hope they're smart enough to run." Yuna understood first. We're not threatening them. We're warning them, showing them the truth before we have to demonstrate it. Exactly. The transmission was prepared. It included detailed specifications for every weapon humanity had ever built. The nuclear arsenal from the old days, the biological weapons that could target specific genetic markers, the nanoweapons that could dismantle matter at the molecular level, the AI-controlled war machines that never missed, never tired, never showed mercy. It included combat footage, real footage from human wars, cities burning, armies clashing, the horrors that humanity had inflicted on itself before learning better, and it included one simple message recorded by Sora Lee. Corthan Dominion, this is what we did to each other when we numbered only billions, when we were confined to one planet, when we fought over resources and ideology. This is what we're capable of. We put these things away because we finally understood that survival requires more than the ability to destroy. Now you force us to remember. She paused, looking directly at the camera. We are not warriors. We are not even really soldiers. We are farmers who learned to farm because we got tired of killing. But we remember how to kill. We remember very well. This is not a bluff. This is not a threat. This is a warning from one sentient species to another. Leave now, or learn what we learned about ourselves. And I promise you, that knowledge comes at a terrible price. The transmission was sent? Every ship in the Corthan fleet received it. Every commander watched the footage, saw the specifications. Read the warnings. On the Corthan flagship, War Master Krell watched in silence. He was old, had fought in dozens of conquests. He had seen many species beg, threaten, and bluster. But this was different. These humans weren't begging. They were educating. Analysis? He ordered his tactical officer. Sir, if their data is accurate, they possess weapons capable of planetary destruction. Some of these designs are theoretically possible, but banned by every major civilization because they're too dangerous. They're showing us weapons that target genetics, that self-replicate, that can turn our own technology against us. You think they're bluffing? Sir, I think they're terrified. Not of us, of themselves. Krell thought about that. A species scared of its own weapons, that was new. Demand proof, he ordered. If they have such weapons, let them demonstrate. Back on Earth, Jin Park received the demand. He looked at the team of scientists and military officers around him. They want a demonstration. Something that proves we're not lying. We could fire on an asteroid, someone suggested. No, said Yuna, who had joined the command center. Fire on the Vecran flagship, the one we disabled. It's empty now? We evacuated all the survivors? Use one weapon? Just one? Show them we're serious. Jin Park considered. Which weapon? The nanoswarm. The one we banned in 2089? The one that scared us so badly we nearly destroyed all the research? That's the point. Show them something so terrible that they understand we're not playing games. The order was given. From a hidden facility in the Kuiper Belt, a single drone launched. It was small, barely visible on sensors. It approached the dead Vecran flagship. Drifting in space with a Corthan observation satellite watching, the drone released its payload. Nanoscale machines, billions of them, programmed to dismantle military-grade materials at the molecular level. The Corthan watched their screens as the Vecran ship began to dissolve. Not explode, not burn, dissolve, like sugar in water. The metal hull turned to dust. The weapon systems fell apart. In 12 minutes, a ship that had been over a kilometer long was reduced to its component atoms. Only the life support sections remained untouched. The nanoswarm was programmed to avoid anything containing biological matter. The transmission from Earth was simple. This was one weapon on its lowest setting, targeting one ship. We have 50 million more nanoswarms in storage. We can target your fleet or your homeworld. We can make them replicate until everything you have turns to dust. We won't, but we can. Leave now. On the Corthan flagship, Silence, War Master Krell had fought for 40 years. He had conquered 12 species. He had never retreated. But he had also never seen anything like this. They dissolved it, his tactical officer whispered. They didn't destroy it, they unmade it. Krell thought about that ship full of nanoswarms targeting his fleet, targeting his homeworld. Machines that could reproduce and spread and eat everything metal, what else can they do? He asked. His science officer pulled up the data the humans had sent. According to this, they have biological weapons that could target our species specifically. AI weapons that learn and adapt. Devices that could destabilize our sun. War Master, these weapons are insane. No civilized species would build them. And yet they did, yes sir. During something they call the Resource Wars, they almost destroyed themselves. This is why they're so reluctant to fight, not because they're weak. Because they know what they're capable of. Krell made a decision. Open a channel to Earth, I will speak with their leaders. Sora Lee appeared on screen. She looked exhausted, but her eyes were clear. War Master Krell, she said. Have you made your decision? I have questions first. You show us these terrible weapons. You demonstrate your ability to destroy us. But you plead with us to leave. Why not simply attack? Why give us the choice? Sora smiled sadly. Because we remember what it's like to be on the other side. We remember cities dissolving, populations dying, the horror of total war. We don't want that for you. We don't want that for us. We just want to be left alone. You understand that by showing us your capabilities, you make yourselves a target? Other species will fear you now. Let them fear. Better feared and free than loved, and enslaved Krell was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that surprised everyone. You humans are strange. You had justification to unleash everything when the Vecran attacked. You held back. You had justification to destroy our fleet immediately. You warned us instead. You are warriors who choose not to war. This is admirable. He straightened in his command chair. The Corthan Dominion withdraws? Not because we fear your weapons, though they are terrible, but because we respect what you have shown us, the strength to be restrained. You are warriors who chose to farm. That is worthy of honor. He paused. Furthermore, the Dominion will inform the galactic community. Earth is under our protection, not because you need it, but because any species foolish enough to attack you will create weapons we will all regret. You have shown us a better path. Demonstrate strength, maintain peace. The transmission ended. The Corthan fleet began to turn away on the horizon. Hyuntae sagged in his chair. Is it over? It's over, Hannah confirmed. They're leaving. All of them across Earth. People celebrated. Children came up from shelters, families reunited. Cities that had been holding their breath for hours finally exhaled, but in the command centers. Among those who knew what had almost happened, there was no celebration. Just relief and exhaustion. The Vecran fleet entered Earth's defensive perimeter at exactly 0600 hours. 200 warships, moving in perfect formation, their weapons already charging. On the flagship, the War Chancellor sat in his command chair, confident and eager. Today we claim Earth, he announced to his fleet. Today these soft humans learn what real power is. On the horizon, Hyuntae watched them come. His crew was silent, tense. They had been fighting for 6 weeks, always holding back, always trying not to kill. Today felt different. Today felt final. All ships, this is Horizon Actual, Hyuntae transmitted to the defense fleet. Fire warning shots across their bows. Give them one last chance. The human ships fired. Brilliant beams of light crossed in front of the Vecran formation, close enough to register on their sensors, but not close enough to hit. A clear message. Turn back. The Vecran War Chancellor laughed. They still play games? All ships open fire. Target their capital city. The Vecran fleet fired as one. Hundreds of missiles and energy beams streaking toward Earth. The human defense platforms intercepted most of them, but one missile got through. It was heading straight for Geneva, for the UN building where the government sat. A human shield platform moved to intercept. The ancient satellite threw itself in front of the missile and detonated it. But the explosion was too close, too powerful. The shield platform broke apart, and debris began falling toward the city. In the command center, Jin Park watched it happen. Watched pieces of humanity's defense falling toward the place where they had sworn to never fight again. Something in him broke? Or maybe something finally healed. He picked up the red phone. All units, this is Defense Command Actual. Authorization code Alpha-Omega-7-7. Engage protocol unification. Full authorization granted. Protect Earth, show them what we are. Across the solar system, weapons that had been sleeping for 150 years fully woke up. The asteroid belt lit up like a sun. 50 hidden platforms fired at once. Not warning shots. Not disabling shots. Kinetic projectiles moving at 1/10 of light speed. The Vecran fleet sensors didn't even detect them until impact. 3 Vecran capital ships simply ceased to exist. The kinetic rounds punched through their shields, through their armor, through their hulls, and out the other side. The ships broke apart in silent explosions, metal and fire spreading in the void. What? The War Chancellor jumped from his chair. How did they die? The communications satellites around Earth unfolded completely. They weren't satellites at all. They were railgun platforms, hundreds of them, each one capable of firing metal slugs at hypersonic speeds. They began firing in sequence, a steady drumbeat of destruction. Vecran ships tried to dodge, but the targeting computers were too good. Each shot hit exactly where it was aimed. Not at life support. Not at crew quarters. At engines. At weapons. At critical systems. Ship after ship went dead in space. Powerless and helpless. Hannah was at her station on the horizon, and for the first time in 6 weeks, she was allowed to use her full training. She coordinated the defense fleet with mathematical precision. Every ship in exactly the right place. Every shot perfectly timed. Target their command ships, she ordered. Disable their communications. Make them blind. The human fleet moved like a pack of predators. Fast, coordinated, ruthless. They had been holding back so long that now, unleashed, they were terrifying to watch. From the moon, the massive cannons fired for the first time since the unification trials. Each shot was a solid metal slug weighing several tons, accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic coils. When they hit Vecran ships, the impacts were visible from Earth, flash after flash of light as kinetic energy became heat. Commander Wu Xin's ship, the one that didn't officially exist, decloaked in the middle of the Vecran formation. It was painted black, covered in sensors and weapons. A ship designed for one purpose, absolute destruction. All weapons fire at will, Wu Xin said calmly. His ship was small compared to the Vecran warships, but it moved like nothing they had seen. Dodging, weaving, impossible maneuvers that should have crushed the crew with forces. But humans had learned to build inertial dampeners, had learned to protect their people while their ships danced through space. The black ship fired missiles that split into smaller missiles, fired lasers that could cut through armor like paper, fired electromagnetic pulses that shut down entire systems. In 3 minutes, Wu Xin's ship had disabled 6 Vecran cruisers. This is what we built when we hated each other, Wu Xin transmitted to the Vecran fleet. Imagine what we can build now that we're unified. The War Chancellor was panicking now. His fleet was being torn apart. Ships that had seemed invincible were going dark one by one. He tried to order a retreat, but human weapons had already destroyed his long-range communications. Hyante watched from the horizon. He felt sick. This was necessary, he knew that. They were defending Earth, defending humanity, but it still felt wrong. These were living beings dying out there, even if they died quickly and cleanly. Hannah, status report, he said. We've disabled or destroyed 60% of their fleet. Minimal casualties on our side. The Vecran formation is breaking apart. Hannah paused. Sir, they're trying to surrender? We're getting transmission requests from multiple ships. Accept them. Tell them to power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded. Anyone who surrenders will be treated according to the laws of war. Even when unleashed, humans tried to show mercy. Yuna was recording everything. Her job as a scientist never stopped. She documented every shot, every tactic, every moment. Data that would be studied for generations. The difference is remarkable, she said into her log. For 6 weeks, we fought to disable and preserve life. Today, with full authorization, we're still targeting engines and weapons first. We could be killing everyone, but we're not. We're fighting to win, not to exterminate. I don't know if that makes us better or just more frightening. The battle lasted 2 hours. Of the 200 Vecran ships that entered Earth space, 80 were destroyed completely. 100 were disabled and drifting. 20 tried to run and were allowed to leave. Their engines barely functional. The War Chancellor's flagship was one of the disabled ships. Human boarding parties entered it carefully, weapons ready. They found the War Chancellor in his command center, staring at screens showing his destroyed fleet. We were warriors, he said quietly. The finest warriors in our empire. How did you? A human marine, a young woman named Hai, answered him. You were warriors. We were monsters. There's a difference. As the cleanup began, as human ships moved to rescue survivors from disabled Vecran vessels, long-range sensors detected something new. Jin Park saw it first. His face went pale. Oh no. On the edge of the solar system, space was tearing open. Warp signatures. Hundreds of them. No, thousands. A fleet so large it made the Vecran force look tiny. Ships bearing the symbol of the Korthan Dominion. The transmission came in clear and strong. A voice that sounded like grinding metal. Humans of Earth, we are the Korthan Dominion. The Vecran were our vassals, testing you for us. Your performance was adequate. You have destroyed our servants and proven you can fight. This is good. Strong slaves are valuable. You will now surrender to us, or we will demonstrate what real power looks like. You have 1 hour to decide. The transmission ended. On every human ship, in every command center, people looked at their screens in horror. They had just fought the hardest battle in human history. They had used weapons they swore never to use. They had shown the galaxy what they were capable of, and now something worse was coming. Much worse. Hyente's tactical computer analyzed the approaching fleet. The numbers were impossible. 2,000 warships, each one larger than anything the Vecran had. This wasn't a test. This was an extermination force. We can't fight that, Hannah said quietly. Even with everything we have? There are too many. Hyente looked at his exhausted crew. They had been fighting for hours. The ship's ammunition was at 40%. Energy reserves were depleted. And they were supposed to face this? Jin Park appeared on screen. He looked older than he had that morning. All commanders, hold position. Do not engage unless fired upon. I'm calling an emergency session of the coalition. We need to decide what to do. Sir, Hyente said carefully. What can we do? We just used everything we have. Jin Park smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. Not everything, Captain. We still have the weapons we were too scared to use. Even against ourselves. The Korthan fleet was coming. They had 1 hour to decide: surrender, fight, or show the galaxy what humanity looked like when they truly stopped being civilized. In Geneva, the emergency session began. And in the deep ocean trenches, in facilities hidden from the sun, weapons that had never been used were slowly powering up. Weapons that made everything they had just used look like toys. Yuna looked at the data on those weapons and whispered a prayer. Please let them be smart enough to leave. Please don't make us use these. But the Korthan were coming, and they were not known for being smart. They were known for being strong. Earth had 1 hour to save itself. 1 hour to make an impossible choice. 1 hour to decide if they would die as humans or survive as monsters.